Um, Hi, everybody, and welcome to the panel discussion on Akira, a fan dub. Um, I'm OK Fox of the Art and Labor podcast. Um, we're a podcast about the ongoing struggle to survive as art and/or cultural workers. I do the show along with Lucia Love, who is a painter and a goddamn scholar um, with her own school called Constructing the Real. You can check that out on the link below this screen. Uh, I don't know on mobile. I don't know where it is, but if you're on a computer, that's where it is. Um, so in the lower left corner here is Sophia Foster-Dimino. She is a cartoonist and illustrator currently living
In a car.
remotely in a car.
In this car.
Oops.
She has worked for a variety of outlets, including as a Google Doodler. Her widely acclaimed book, Sex Fantasy, was published by Koyama Press. In the top left corner, we have Michael DeForge. He is a cartoonist and illustrator based in Toronto, author of an extensive list of publications, including books from Drawn and Quarterly and Koyama Press. His most recent comic, Birds of Maine, can be found on Instagram. And he recently wrote 12 New Steps to on the Road to Design Hell, which is an updated version of the guidelines Milton Glaser put out for the online publication Sense. And Mickey Zucchelli is in the bottom right here. Mickey Zucchelli is a cartoonist based in Providence and Brooklyn, kind of, at this point. Who knows? Who knows? She is often hailed as an artistic hero to many in the zines and comic communities, including by me. Her comic Rav has been collected into 2 volumes and published by Youth in Decline. She currently streams under the Twitch username NetflixFan2099. So, we are gathered here today to celebrate Akira, a fan dub, which was a project, kind of born out of Twitch, which is why I wanted to kind of do this sort of celebratory panel over Twitch. And I know that, it kind of like stemmed from like Michael and Mickey's Twitch, but it's really Sophia's project. And she really put in a lot of work collecting all the files. And I just wanted to give you a chance to like describe how you got there. It was a very like delightful activity for us to do while we were, stuck at home watching shit, as Michael stream is called. And to me, it kind of felt like a school play, like a community play. Uh, and like, so how did you get it started, Sophia? And like, how were the different parts organized?
Oh, sure. Well, first of all, I feel flattered when people say it's my project. I don't really consider it my project. I'm like the editor producer, but it wasn't my idea, and it wouldn't have been possible for me to do alone. I really more consider myself as like the person who was willing to take all the parts and put them together, but I don't really feel ownership of it per se.
I think that's
Um,
really healthy and nice and community spirited, but you did put a lot of work into it.
yeah, I did put a lot of work into it, but it's actually way easier for me to work on collaborative projects than on personal projects.
Mm.
I don't know if anyone feels similarly, but when other people are really excited about something, it kind of removes all the potential baggage that you might have putting a lot of time into something that people won't see for a while.
Mm.
Um, I think that, we've kind of tried to do some historical analysis in retrospect of like where and when exactly we came up with this idea or whose idea it was. We think that it was in Mickey's channel at some point because, so to rewind a little bit, in March Michael started doing the stream, the Stuck Inside Watching Shit party, where he would just stream a feature or two features, a bunch of shorts before, or like interspersed. They're all organized around a theme. The themes are getting increasingly like more abstract and out there, and his curatorial sensibility is
I don't
just
know. He
like,
just did food, so
yeah, but you know, before that he
Yeah,
did
no,
one all about like lycanthropy, and it's just been really like truly like above and beyond the idea of just hosting like a movie viewing party. He's really turned it into like a creative project that's super impressive and engaging, and the community around it has been just totally 100% good vibes, very fun and supportive. And at the time when he first started doing it, I was at an artist residency in Georgia, completely alone, had no one to talk to, and it was just like a total lifeline, and I really loved tuning in. And there was one particular one he did that was like a Hungarian animation where the subtitles were cut off or something. So he decided to type all of the translated subtitles like in Twitch as it was going. And I don't remember exactly, but I feel like that must have been the kernel for like doing something like this. Like someone said, what if we did a live dub of Akira and we all jumped in a Zoom call together, and the movie was also its own Zoom caller, and we all did the voices live, which sounded really fun and stupid and like very much in the spirit of this kind of like weirdo slumber party vibe we had going on in his channel. But then when we made a Discord room for it, it became apparent pretty quickly that doing it live would be a total shit show. It probably would have still been really entertaining.
Yeah, totally.
I'm not opposed to it. But someone said, what if we recorded our parts and then just sent them and edited them together? And I was like, I'll edit everything together because I know that I'll do it, and I also know that if someone doesn't commit to doing this, it like won't happen. And then from there, it didn't require like a lot of wrangling. People were really excited. I shared.
Yeah, I definitely was. I was like, let's go. I'll get 8 friends to do the council with me.
Yeah, it was like not only were you into it, but you like were an associate producer and rounded up a whole bunch of other people to participate too. And you know, that particular scene that you're in, I love because in the movie, it's one of the most boring plot development scenes with just a bunch of bureaucrats sitting around chattering, but because it's your circle of friends who are all completely going over the top, it's one of the most hilarious scenes in the dub. And that was totally unexpected, and I just loved kind of sitting back and watching stuff roll in and having it be completely not, you know, I had no directorial hand in any of this.
Well, somebody had a directorial hand to have chosen Mickey to be Kaneda, because that's like really
that was the first choice that was made, I
ideal
think. And I'm pretty sure that she just grabbed it for Mickey. You might be muted.
Are you muted, Mickey? Jeez.
Tell us your memory of that.
No.
You're still muted, Mickey.
Mickey.
Can you act it out like really realistically?
We could hear you before.
How about now? Am I muted now?
No, you're good.
No, you're good. You're good.
I remember being like, I want to be Canada or whatever, and that's all. I don't remember anything.
I think that we were always kind of positive that Mickey would be the hero. It just made perfect sense. And also, like, Mickey...
And Michael, the villain. No, not the villain.
The shadowy anti-hero. Yeah.
Michael, are you muted? You're muted. There you go.
Yeah, but I didn't have anything to say.
You didn't have anything to say. Okay. Well, I think having you two play off each other was perfect. And, like, I feel like you guys are titans of this comics scene, which, you know... is here, where's my question about it? So I have like a multi-pronged question about it. We can skip around whatever. Okay, so we don't have TCAF. Like,
wait, someone says they can't hear.
Oh, why?
I don't know if it's true. Oh, sorry,
Ryan
me?
Can
hear. Never mind.
Can't hear me. Really?
Those are
Oh,
really
I'm quiet. That's weird. Okay, sorry. I'll try to speak louder and more into the microphone. Or does it totally go quiet? What do you guys?
Where's
You
Lala?
sound good to me. I'm not sure if in the chat it's different.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm
Everyone
only
says you're good now.
okay. I don't
One
know.
person says only 1 year. That
Only
might
one
be
ear.
a limited issue.
Sorry. I'm probably doing it in stereo by accident. Okay, sorry. Audio break for a second. So, we don't have TCAF. We don't have any of the small press festivals. Even Comiket in Japan is canceled. And this is a huge blow to an industry that's already getting by in the margins. Um, I'm just, you know, I'm when I was watching it for the first time, I was struck by how much I missed going to comic festivals and seeing everybody because this community is international, and the fact that international travel is not going to be feasible for the foreseeable future is a huge blow to the economy. Like, it's serious. And due to the severe mishandling of the coronavirus by various governments, you know, how are you guys surviving? What precautions are you taking given the United States' completely botched recovery efforts, which affects everybody, not just you, Michael, in Canada, but this whole international industry and many other ones as well. Is, for example, Sophia, you're living in a car. Do you think there's an economic reason for you to be doing that right now?
Yeah, this is something that I was considering before the pandemic hit, but it seemed all the more like a good idea. I want to be as flexible as possible. I do have to travel um, to help my parents, who are both older people, and I didn't want to fly. So I was like, I'm going to get a car. I'm going to outfit it in such a way that I don't need to stay in hotels or go into anyone's house, and just as much as possible be a self-sufficient, self-contained little bubble, retaining my freedom and flexibility in case things do get worse. I didn't want to be on the hook for a lease, for a rental, and I didn't want to be tied to a particular area. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy out there to like I think that there's a lot of people in our various industries that are, having to go live with their parents, having to, um, downsize in whatever ways they can, because a lot of this stuff we actually did rely on. A lot of these zine fairs, I feel like people built their whole years around I'm going to be at TCAF and I normally sell this range of amounts, and without that people have to make sacrifices elsewhere and find new ways to earn a living in an economy in the United States where there's more unemployment than the Great Depression.
I saw that a couple of festivals, like SF Zine Fest for one, were doing online versions of their Zine Fest. I didn't have
Yes.
a chance to check that one out, but I also saw that some people were kind of doing spur of the moment spontaneous online zine festivals. Like, they didn't have a regular show before, but they and a bunch of friends got together and had one weekend where they were like, we're doing an online zine festival. We're having all this stuff for sale just for this weekend. They're finding ways to adapt it to an online marketplace. And I imagine that Twitch probably has a role to play in that, as people, maybe are putting more energy into podcasts, which are I know that podcasts and streaming are so popular right now that there's shortages of microphones and cameras because so many people are getting into it. I don't think that it's anywhere near the kind of stability and assurance that we as citizens deserve from like our economy, but people have been coming up with creative ways to try and make it work.
Right.
I
Yeah.
went.
The
Oh,
sorry,
sorry.
Mickey, you go ahead. I was just gonna say the Brooklyn Book Fair also did digital as well. And I feel like more stuff like the fandub could make these things more fun, even though it's
Mm.
so depressing it's not in real life. But you go ahead,
Like
Mickey.
the yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I went to a cool online like 3D zine fest in Mexico, I think.
That
Oh, cool.
rocks.
And it was like you got a little avatar and you like walked through this like it was amazing. And there was like you could like walk into a little air. Someone posted it in the Discord, the Twitch Discord. Uh and it was just extremely cute and amazing. I don't know. You could walk to an area and there was like a dance party and then like you could walk and there were like little like nodules with like links to
Yes.
Instagram sites and pictures and stuff and like
Yes.
gallery walls but like in 3D. I was like this is 1,000 times better than like going to an actual art gallery. Like,
I think too, like there was a thing where people were already having to reevaluate the purpose and models of small press festivals and comics festivals and book festivals. Like pre-pandemic, a lot of the talk wasn't just about like who runs these festivals or how they're run, and the lack of kind of like accountability or transparency there. But like I think I had the feeling that a lot of people do. It was like this doesn't feel that sustainable. Of like all the cliches of comics festivals being artists passing around the same $20 bill and not so many comics festivals were trying to scale upwards. Like so many comics fests thought like we'll all be TCAF, we'll all be SPX, and it's like, well, you can't have international guests flying to. There's only so much money in independent comics. Like it's just not. It's not going to happen. And it sucks that this is what it took. But now there's this thing of like, well, it, the you were going to have to reevaluate like what
Yes.
the purpose of the festival was anyway. And right now that everything's canceled, I do hope that a lot of the fests are like, well, what will it mean when, like if something like TCAF does happen in 2021, which is still kind of up in the air, will that mean like I don't see, even if there is international travel, like who has any money after this year? Who's going to be able to
Exactly.
do like, well, I'll shell out this much money printing zines and usually I can recoup stuff. Like no one can do that. So and I do think like the model of like smaller local scenes of zine fests like probably in the long run is more sustainable than like international guests and big sponsorships and partnerships every year.
Yes, I think it is causing people to get more localized. I know that my local tenants union has seen a huge jump in like participation and membership. And we kind of do like collaborative IRL projects and actions, and that's it's like that's the activity now. The activity is go to the protest. Like there's like not like and maybe there's an outdoor concert at the protest, or maybe we are making a collaborative mural at the protest. And I that leads me to my other question, like about the film Akira itself. I found the dub to be this sort of like meta thing of like community survival in the backdrop of an increasingly brutal police state. And I also was thinking about how much of like the how much of like media is like normalizing that type of brutality, and how much of that is um like how much does like the reverence of the subject matter like actually like carry into our everyday lives. Like the dub is so fun and light and like and silly. I mean, you see like little honker in the corner here is a character, but at the same time it's very like I feel like a lot of us involved. I mean, speaking for myself, I'll see what you guys think, but for me, I'm like, yes, I want to voice a fucking awful fascist politician piece of shit. That's who is fucking up everything right now. I want to enact that. I want to like criticize that, you know. And this was like a kind of a way to meditate on that or whatever as a community, I thought, and carry that into our everyday lives. And how much do you think that type of media consumption translates into like direct action and solidarity in our like immediate communities? Like, to me, I think I definitely got a lot out of it, like rewatching the movie, because I haven't seen it in, I don't know, probably 7 years or something, and rewatching it now in the backdrop of like everything that's happening, I thought was powerful, even though it was also very fun and silly.
I have lots of thoughts on this, but I feel like I've talked a lot. So if either or both of you want to go first, and I'll follow up.
I mean, I do think that I think there's like always positives and negatives when, like art in a time of crisis or upheaval or calamity, like it can be sometimes really good and energizing that it provides catharsis, but can also be very pacifying. I think it's cool that this fan dub was made, like, I don't know what the legalities of fan dub, but it wasn't like a commercial thing. It wasn't like soul. It was sort of separate from commerce. It was like just done as this like very pure thing, which I really appreciated. And I do think it's like I think it's more about like, I'm sure it just changes from person to person what is like a good and what is a negative type of catharsis or release or whatever. Because I do find myself like right now being gravitating towards art that's like post-apocalyptic or about rebellion and stuff. And I do always try to be aware of that, all the cliches about like not wanting to let capitalism perform your anti-capitalism for you. But like we also do need to feel that energy, and like catharsis does feel good. Otherwise, it's just tension, yeah, that's harder to I think about it more in the art I produce myself. Rather, it's hard to like regulate that with what you consume.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Sophia, why don't you open this up a bit more?
Oh, sure. I was just going to say that, every time we've shown the movie, there's been this sequence at the beginning, this like extended sequence of a protest being suppressed by these militarized police officers. And even though the sound effects are being done by my friend Gwendolyn in the most like ridiculous, high-pitched hamster voice way, people in chat are still like, wow, this hits different from when I saw it when I was a teenager. Like there's a scene of a protester emerging from a tear gas cloud and coughing on their like knees, and a cop just comes and like sees that they're on their knees and just shoots them with another canister. Completely not, this sort of like, fascist bloodlust that we have seen a lot of on the news this year. And it is really resonant and shocking, and like I think that it helps to identify that like this is the thing that people make sci-fi movies about. when like a indulgent shonen manga is trying to think of an evil force to put in the background of this dramatic story, it's this exact thing that we're seeing on the streets right now. And it is a sort of call to not just indulge in this sort of fantasy catharsis, but to do direct action, to raise money, to spread awareness. We're, when we do put this online, we are planning to sort of package it up with like a little making of PDF and have all proceeds go to a charity that will support protests for Black lives, or additionally like an organization that supports Black creativity,
like a direct, more of a direct mutual aid type of thing. Sounds like than a charity to me, but
we're evaluating the best use of funds, but I think that makes just like way too much sense considering the content. You know, it's a quite old movie and it's from a different culture than the US, but the fact that it's so resonant to what
I mean,
we're
it's
seeing
literally
now.
2020, and
Yeah,
Tokyo was
that's true.
supposed to have the Olympics, and it all
Yeah.
got to shit. Like,
It's uncanny, yeah.
nuts.
But yeah, I think you know, because that this project developed out of the members, the fans of Mickey and Michael's streams, they're sort of like naturally a very leftist international group of people, you know, like I don't know if that was ever explicitly stated, but it just sort of happened by magnetism that all these people have these opinions. And it's just really nice. It's nice to have an online space that has that slant, considering how much, you know, right-wing toxicity there is online. It felt like a really encouraging and optimistic creative space that also gave me a lot of like political energy at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely. I got a lot out of it. I mean, I'm kind of, I'm like the type of person who it's very hard for me to make art. I don't make it all, like I'm not prolific at all, and even just doing a small 5 little lines like is really engaging, and like that it's like, and I don't call it like a community play or school play to admonish it, because I think that type of stuff is an exercise in working together that people need to remember is possible in when we're being told to stay at home and isolate up on our own all the time.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that, like so much discourse online is about like criticizing IPs from very large companies, you know, the representation or the hiring practices. And I think it's a really nice reminder that like at any budget level or at any amount of free time you have, you can make something and put it out there, and sort of seize control of the media that's being produced in your own circle. And that has like a parallel in political action as well. Like you don't just need to beg your elected representatives to cause change to happen. You can also make change happen in your communities,
Yeah, and you can
as well.
you can seize a huge ass media property like Akira and get and like captivate an audience of teenage nostalgia.
Well, and Akira especially, it's like so influential that it does feel like, yeah, Akira's for everyone. not to erase the authorship of Akira, but
I think he's doing fine.
yeah.
But it's crazy because it like is for everyone in a way beyond just like you know, whatever. It's just like I feel like for a lot of people who haven't seen anime, like maybe they've seen Akira, and
Yeah.
it was just like one of the first ones on like the Sci-Fi Channel in the United States or whatever. It was like that. And what else was there? Bastard, and like at least by my memory, what was on?
Yeah,
what
like
was on-
tech TV or whatever. Like
I just remember
G4.
also like Uratsuki Doji or whatever, that sex one, the sex monster one. Like
God,
those
Mickey,
are the early
you are
ones.
so legit. You know everything. That was such a pull. I can't believe it.
But like those are the ones, and like you just if you're at home from school, like maybe Akira was on the Sci-Fi Channel or whatever. But it's also crazy because
Totally.
it's. I feel like you can experience that movie, or at least how I experienced that movie as a child. I was sort of like, wow, this is like just a series of like incredible visuals and sounds, and like I have no clue what is going on. And then I watched it again, and I was just like, this is crazy. And it was like so visceral. I was like, this is disgusting. Like I can't look at the bear milk again. It makes me nauseous. And then when Tetsuo becomes a baby, I'm like, oh, like as
It's
a
a
child,
lot.
I was like, and then I didn't watch it for so long. And then I watched it again as an adult, and I was like, oh yeah, very good. But like also I still
Totally.
had no idea what was going on. And then I read the manga. Sorry, we're just going into my
Let's
personal.
talk about
No, it's
Akira.
all
I've
good,
read
it's
the
all good,
manga.
yeah.
I have a very similar trajectory as you. I watched it when I was 15 at my birthday sleepover with a bunch of girls, and
Nice.
we all freaked out at the scenes, like at the scenes with what's Tetsuo's girlfriend's name?
Kaori.
Kaori.
RIP.
The scenes
F
with
for
Kaori scarred me
Issue
for life, probably, but it's worth it. And then the manga. I don't know. We can talk about Akira a bit. Like the movie was finished before the manga was finished.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. There's so many crazy Akira facts, and Sophia has a lot of them. It seems like you have a lot
Yeah.
of
Let's go.
I got a lot of them because while I was packing up my California apartment, I found this book called Akira Club, which is just like a kind of weird production diary. It's mostly about the manga, but a little bit about the anime and about some like interesting. It's just like everything Otomo ever drew for like promotional
I have
material.
it too. Should I go get it?
I mean, we can show and tell a little bit if you want to, but like there are all sorts of weird details in that, and the fact that I didn't really internalize that I think is really cool that ties into this project is that the soundtrack was done by this band that's actually a collective of like hundreds of non-professional musicians. They're like businessmen. The leader is like a surgeon who make music in their spare time in a really like asynchronous way. And Otomo just really liked their stuff, and he commissioned an album, and the album came out before the storyboards were completed. And then they did the storyboards and all the animation to fit the music, which is like such a cool, you can tell when you watch the movie that the music is like carrying so much of the film in a way that a lot of anime doesn't have that kind of like synergy. And it's very trusting of the musicians as creatives. And I feel like we had a little bit of that going on. We were like disparate people who are not professional voice actors, except maybe for GB Pookie, because he did like a crazy good job.
And Lamar.
And Lamar, yeah. Lamar and Lisa have professional voice acting experience and like brought it full force. But the rest of us are just, nerds. And may have nice microphones, but I never recorded any voice acting before. And there was just sort of like a communal trust that some of the parts will be greater than the whole, or whatever it is people say, that like, there was a fleeting concern that like, oh, are the people who are really good going to be in scenes with the people who are really amateur, and it's going to have a weird vibe? But it didn't have a weird vibe. It had like a really magical, special vibe.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Like, I know that you were hinting at a future collaborative project. Do you want to tease it on this stream?
Oh yeah, we want to make an animated short film together. That's something that we talked about mostly because in Michael's stream, he plays a lot of animated shorts and that are constantly just like blowing us away. And the approaches used in those shorts, a lot of them are from like Central Europe, and like they're just traditions of animations that are not seen today usually, and they're very liberating to watch. And I think it just got everyone excited to try and do some sort of project like that.
Yeah, learning more about that like history of animation in Eastern Europe is really cool. I learned a little bit about it for the podcast, but then I never bothered to like look any of this shit up. So it's like an education, Michael's stream. I think it's really great.
It is super educational. Michael should be like the head of a museum's curatorial board. Like his skills are phenomenal.
Yes.
I
It's
can't
wild.
believe he comes up with this stuff twice a week, and like every time knocks it out of the park.
He just pulls the craziest things out of his ass, and I'm like, where the fuck did you find this insane check? He's like, I don't know if it's insane. I just don't know where it comes from.
It's cool too, because like now the community is like, they'll recommend me things, and I get to like it does sort of feel like a fun kind of dialogue with like because it's not like I'm just only playing what I'd watch, but no one would want to like just watch like a weekly Peter Greenaway stream. Or whatever.
I would want to watch that.
But like, it's been like educational for me, because like people will send me things and like there'll be like new rabbit holes to go down. So it's like I like that. I like the idea of like of things being like it's a group and there's like a dialogue there, which
Yeah,
is
well,
which
it's
is
like we're stuck inside with like the all of the media libraries in the world, like easy to pirate. Like it's so, I mean, and it's like what better of a fucking opportunity to learn something.
yeah, that is a thing too. It's like, well, I guess the hours I would have normally spent at a bar, I'm now spending like pirating obscure media. So
Hell yeah.
But
Also, like, it's funny because like in normal life. Sorry if this is an aside. Am I allowed to speak?
oh my
Go
God,
for it,
stop,
Nikki.
please.
Nikki, we love your voice. Everyone thinks you have the most
Yes,
beautiful
voice
voice
of
in
an
the entire
angel.
world.
Okay, well, I was just gonna say then, like usually, like I've known Michael and Sophia both for a really long time, and usually I see them each about 3 times a year, and then I basically just don't talk to them for like 4 months in between, unless like we're working on something, which is like rarer these days. But now since Twitch has happened and the Akira thing, but even before that, it's like I talk to them both like almost every day, which is really, really nice. But it's just funny because before I was like diddling around in my stupid life and I was like ignoring my delightful friends who I love and have loved and known for years. But now I'm like, oh, now I'm spending time with Michael and Sophia and everyone else, and that's really sweet and nice.
Yeah, everyone get those cool dogs going in the chat, please.
yeah, it is. I think, and everyone has this experience right now where like this, your whole social circle has been like reconfigured in some way, and it's these communities. Like this is the socializing I do. The in-person socializing I've done since the start of quarantine has exclusively been at occupations. So anything else that isn't with like in the back of our heads trying to count the number of cops who might beat our asses, like it's like this is it, and it's been like very wonderful to have these people around.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
nice.
I feel like comics people were kind of indoor kids for the most part. I mean, but and like those festivals do get really overwhelming really quick. But you still start to miss it after 6 months of this shit.
There's something about, like you were saying before, a lot of people organize their practice around going like 3 to 5 comics festivals a year. And that sort of consolidates your creative energy in an interesting way. You have like a hibernating time where you're working on stuff, and then you have like a socializing time where you have a lot of socializing when you're releasing a book or whatever, and going to these shows and quote unquote networking or whatever. And now all that energy has sort of atomized and is being spread throughout time in a really uneven, unspecific way. Like, we don't know what we're preparing for. Like, you could work on something or you could not. There's no deadlines. Like, it becomes very ambiguous. So I think having this project, even though the deadlines were totally made up by me, really helped to focus those energies. And it's very empowering if if your main experience is being a sort of a follower of larger schedules, so to speak. It's very liberating to realize that if you have a group of great creative friends, even a small handful of people, you can really make your own creative momentum.
I think too, it shows what this has made it clear, like the things that we actually miss from something like a festival or just like art scenes in general. The things that we like are like being able to collaborate with each other and socialize with each other. And then there's a bunch of other things that we were like very beholden to and kind of still are, or trying to figure out how to make a living and stuff. But it's not stuff we actually liked. It was just stuff that was a necessity, was like the actual selling your zine.
Yeah.
Like I did it because I needed to. It wasn't like I just love being judged at a table. And we can hopefully when we sort of rebuilding we're all doing, we can like hold on to the things that we like and figure out like, okay, well, this is the stuff that it's not like we actually loved. It was just
Yeah, I think like you were saying before, Michael, there's like a reckoning going on that like, groups of us, like, I don't know, Lightbox, maybe festival workers that I was in, were trying to get started for years and just like not, it's really hard to like figure out how to organize that on top of everything else. But now everybody's being in a very, very reflective mode and able to have those conversations. And so, yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, what I just don't know when, like, it's going to come back. So I've been kind of checked out of it personally, even though I felt very passionate about this for years. Right now I feel very checked out because I'm like, the foreseeable future is, I don't think this type of event is going to come back in the same way for probably like a year minimum, a year from already the 6 months we've had minimum, and even then it's just going to have to be completely different than what it was before. So I guess now's the time to figure that out. Everything is going to be, I think, predicated on how schools open up in the fall. I don't know if any of you guys work in those types of institutions, but that's like, the type of institutions that would host us are a museum or a school or whatever. And if it's kind of dependent on how they go, so goes the zine fair or whatever. But then again, maybe we can have a fucking radical zine fair outside at the protest. I don't know. And then maybe that's better.
There's a video game conference that happens in San Francisco called GDC, and for many years they had this sort of like, what's a nice way to say parasitic? Like
Symbiotic?
yeah, sort of
symbiotic.
a symbiotic radical queer unconference that sort of attached onto GDC and would just happen wherever and whenever GDC was. Called Lost Levels, where people could like sign up to give talks, and there wasn't really any evaluation of, you have to have so and so many years of industry experience or whatever. And that took place entirely outside in Yerba Buena Park in San Francisco, just like in the middle of the Moscone Center, which is like where GDC was happening. And I like that vibe. I think that Zine Fest can happen really like spontaneously if people want them to. I'm very much pro zines becoming cheaper, messier, lower quality, faster development, more random people.
Get rid of the risograph.
Just throw it away.
We're
Beat
fucking
it up with
sick
a
of it.
fucking metal bat. We're done.
Like I taught college level illustration for 4 years, and when I told my students about zines, what I would tell them, which is true, is that zines jump-started my illustration career, and that self-publishing is the thing that got me friends and industry connections and gigs, which is all true, but obviously it's like shouldn't be the prime motivator for making zines. Zines are like a way for you to distribute information and connect with people in a way that is not limited or controlled by an outside organization. And like literally every single person in the world has the ability to make a zine, as long as you have no expectations of like the work it's going to get you or the people who are going to follow you on Twitter for it. Like you can just make it and get it out there, and like that sort of energy again can translate into a lot of things. I like to think that the Akira fan dub, even though it was really labor intensive, has like zine energy. It took a while, but like I try to do a lot of things in life with like a zine spirit, and yeah, like that can live on regardless of what state the world is in.
Hell yeah.
I definitely agree with that. But in these last 10 minutes, should we see if the chat has anything to ask of you guys?
Sure.
Everybody's just saying yes, yeah, oh my god.
We agree with you, Sophia. They agree. The people agree.
Oh, good.
The Toblerone emoji. What else we got? I know it's good. We're probably delayed from the chat, so I think
I can see the chat live.
yeah, I'm looking at it live too, but no questions yet.
Do they have like a 10-minute delay on questions, or
No, it's like a minute.
okay.
It's probably just a
okay.
minute.
Okay.
Youth in Decline
Then
says, what was your favorite surprise/moment from watching it?
I'll go first. The thing that made me like burst out laughing the hardest was GB Pookie did sound effects for like the first scene at the Olympic Stadium when the doctor's like on a computer
Oh
and it just
wait,
makes the
now they're saying no spoilers, but so you think there are people
too
in here
bad.
who haven't watched it yet?
Spoiling Akira
Yeah.
is like spoiling Titanic. Like you
It's
know the ship
true.
sinks at the end.
But this is a spoiler for the dub itself. So
Oh,
anyway,
okay. Okay.
there's a certain sound effect in that scene that just made me fucking lose my mind laughing the first time because I did not expect it at all. That's all.
So Gavin Flavor says, do you have any advice for artists struggling to find motivation in this difficult time?
I would say don't push it. Like at the beginning of this weird ass time, I was like lying in bed all day. Like I played Apex Legends for like literally 8 hours a day. I was like, this is my job now. I'm gonna get really
You're a
good.
gamer.
Yes.
And then like in time, like I sort of like lost interest in that after completely burning myself out. And then I was like, oh, I can kind of like do stuff now. And then I'm just a big fan of not pushing it. It'll come when it comes.
Yeah, the idea that we should be in like a moment like this expected to just be as productive as possible is awful. And
Yeah.
it's good to remind yourself that like it's a totally natural reaction right now to feel like either making art is not the most pressing thing or I am too preoccupied or too despairing to do it right now. Like that's just like being a human being, you know. It's so inhumane that we're asked to keep fucking paying rent and carrying on as though there isn't like a flaming wasteland behind us.
Totally. Yeah. I get a lot of creative energy from organizing and hanging out with my tennis union, like legit, even though I don't feel very productive in my own practice or whatever. Um, okay, let's see. There's a bunch of questions now. Um, God, which one should I ask? Oh my God. Are you flattered that a handful of people, this is their canonical Akira dub? That's
It's
just a,
canonical
Yes.
to me.
it is
now,
canonical.
for sure.
I have one for Michael and everyone too, to be honest. We've got a pretty fresh indie arts fest that happens once every 2 years here in what is that?
New Zealand.
Is it New Zealand? Michael mentioned something about figuring out a better model for stuff. And I was wondering if you guys would be willing to elaborate on that a little. We did elaborate on it a bit, but
Yeah, I mean, okay, you talked a bit about the festival workers, and then a lot of demands, even that Cartoonists Against Amazon made, were things that just make sure that the artists involved are have have say and equity in how a festival is run. That they're able to sign up for a festival, ones that, you know, in some ways end up being gatekeepers or that a lot of people's livelihoods are tied up in, that they actually have some agency and control over it. And that's a thing that's missing from, you know, like most arts institutions in general. And as far as models go, like right now, most festivals, like big or small, still just have this thing of like, you know, renting out a space and selling zines. And like we said, like that's not going to be sustainable for too long. I don't know exactly how it's going to replace. I don't know how it'll be replaced. I don't know what it's going to look like. But the thing of like traveling from city to city to basically go to a different version of a church craft sale and hope that's going to like help cover the costs of your printing or
yeah.
like help pay rent or something, like that seems like a big ask. And keeping things smaller does seem like a good first step, just acknowledging that like, yeah, not everything can be like a huge international guests and there's like big headliners and stuff, and like keeping things closer to like a manageable, like, yeah, this is the Toronto zine community, this is what it looks like.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
and maybe if there is like going to be a lot of like digital stuff, that it can be like a half and half sort of thing, where like in the evening the programming is with international guests via Zoom or whatever. Um, that's kind of another question that's on the back of my mind is like being too reliant on these big tech companies that like Twitch that is owned by Amazon, and Patreon even, like, something that people might not know about Patreon is that they used to take a lower fee, and then when they tried to up that fee, everyone got mad multiple times, and then what happened was that now new people pay a higher fee, which is still bullshit. And what do we do about that? And uh, I've seen you mention like comradelies, maybe the alternatives that might be springing up. I'm friends with the With Friends people, which is another alternative for IRL spaces mostly. But yeah, what do we think about big tech's role in our lives, which is something that we fought against in the indie comics scene?
Yeah, fucking suck. I hate like all of these platforms that make a living off of creative work that people do and treat people's lives like content if they're not making creative work to sell. Especially during the pandemic, where they have been trying to posit themselves as like this is like the new town square is fucking Twitter or Facebook. They've like replaced all of our, like, this is like the new public sphere. Actual physical public spaces like are going away just as rapidly, and it sucks. And I think everyone, I don't know what it would look like to have these social media spaces be collectively owned, but it kind of makes sense that like this is a resource that a lot of people rely on. I think they're kind of essential. There are other things that we at one point realized, oh, we need to claim collective ownership of like our fucking water supply because too many people are dying of dysentery. I think right now, like, we can say that I'm sick. We know we don't know exactly what the end thing will look like, but it's like, well, maybe the equivalent of like my 5 children dying of illnesses from drinking poisoned water, like right now, is like my nephew just got radicalized by Flat Earth Pepe 420.
Totally, God.
Think of what we know, the stuff that's useful and the stuff we want. We know the stuff we don't like, which is like Nazis are having all our information sold. So yeah, I hate it.
Yeah. If you guys have more thoughts about that, jump in. But I feel like Everest's point is is related. Not that copyright is actually real, but how are you handling working with screening material against copyright? You mentioned eventual distribution. Curious if it falls into fair use or fuck it, we'll take it as it comes.
The distribution is going to be an audio file of the dub that doesn't contain copyrighted material that can be synced up to the movie. That's my solution.
Also, I don't know like what the deal is now. Probably like Disney probably owns Akira or something. Like maybe not Disney, but like Fox or like Warner
There's
Brothers.
only 3 companies, so it's
Yeah,
like
right. But like back in the day with fan subs and fan dubs, it's like they
Yes,
didn't give a
Mickey,
shit
yes.
as long as you weren't making a profit. You could redistribute, like copy, dub on the VHS or whatever, and redistribute at cost, basically. And no one gave a shit because all the companies were in Japan anyway, or whatever. But that was how things were back in the day.
I mean, yeah, it's like a zine fair. At a zine fair where there's 20 fan zines or whatever, and like it's just like everyone. Like I'm obsessed with the Sonic community. I'm make a Sonic. Who cares? It's like $1 billion company. I don't care. If they come for me, they come for me.
But like them coming for you will be like cease and desist, and then you'll be like, okay,
cool.
and then like that's the end of it. No one's gonna get like actually sued probably, unless you're like turning a vast profit, as we know you are. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm rolling in it. Doing great. Not on government assistance at all.
Hell yeah.
That's something I do think we should be organizing around is, Germany artists are getting subsidized. Like in other countries, like in South Korea, artists are getting subsidized. Like there's, you know, nothing like, and not just artists in general. Really, everybody should be subsidized and like have a living wage. It just doesn't, and it's going to be more and more clear as the eviction moratoriums lift that that has to happen. And that's something that artists can be in solidarity with everybody who's facing financial difficulties right now. I think apply for government assistance is my big tip to artists. Okay, so we're at 6:00. Do we have any final thoughts before we transition to the screening? I was
ACAB.
yeah, ACAB. Good thought.
Together. It's fucking crazy.
What did you say, Michael?
The Sophia's the best. It's like it's
Yeah.
Thank you, Sophia.
Honestly, the amount of work that Sophia put into this cannot be understated. Like I just hope everyone in the chat and everyone who's seen this fandom understands that Sophia not only coordinated everyone and organized it in several several wild ass spreadsheets. Like, and then like everyone was just like, oh, take that, oh, take this. And that's like the extent of what everyone had to do. And Sophia compiled it all and like learned how to sound edit, right?
Yeah.
Taught herself how to sound edit. And then like had a little bit of help from, what's his name? You had a little bit of help, barely any help, sound editing, right? Or someone helped you teach?
Oh, Neve put the weird
Yes.
effects on Michael's voice when he turned into a baby.
Okay.
That's all.
That was cool. All right.
Yeah,
So
it was cool.
produced, edited, and coordinated. Sophia did. I can't imagine how many hours it took. I wish you clocked the hours so we could be like.
Yeah, it was 2 to 8 hours every day for 2 months.
Amazing.
Every day?
Amazing.
I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed
Okay.
myself.
Let me just do the math on that because I think that's important
Oh, no.
to me to quantify.
I felt like we knew you were a genius from your comics, but then like
Oh.
looking at this, I think me and Jillian had this moment looking at the spreadsheet where it was just like, oh, Sophia's a genius in this other way we didn't even realize.
I love spreadsheets, guys. I don't know what to tell you.
You're a great project manager and
Thank you.
coordinator.
I
I
only want to project manage for non-profit nerd bullshit, though. That's my weak point.
Yeah. Lala wants you to stay on and do a director's commentary track.
Oh,
my God.
I'll be in chat for a bit. I'm gonna have to duck out at some point because I am in my car in like this random town. But I will sort of be in chat chiming in.
Yes.
Do a fan dub of someone else's director's commentary.
Yeah,
a good
like
idea.
the Otomo dub, but I just like do it
Oh
in
my
my voice. Oh man.
That is so.
Thank you guys very much. You're very
So
sweet.
everybody
I loved working
stick
with you.
around for the screening, and then one thing is like there's full credits at the end. So if you have any questions about who did what part, that you just the credits are at the end. All your questions will be answered if Sophia can't be here anymore because she's already sat through it twice, probably more.
Like 100 times.
360 hours is the math I did. That's an average of 6 hours a day for 2 months. It's 360 hours. Just saying.
Seriously.
I loved every second of it, guys.
It was beautiful, and I loved seeing you guys. I loved hearing your voices on the thing. It made me be like, we need to talk about this more. Like, sorry, I'm like, we got to figure out how we can talk about this and figure out what's good and figure out what we should be doing as artists stuck at home. And I really appreciate all of your time.
Thank you for hosting us.
Yeah,
we
thanks.
appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
I love a Zoom call where I can see everyone's face.
Yeah. It's really.
I wish I could see all the chat's face.
Yeah. Next time, maybe we'll do like a Zoom and we just give out the Zoom link to the chat and like mute them or like
Oh my God!
unmute them.
Can we do it?
Like just give it to them right now. And we have to do the screening now. It's 2 hours.
Oh,
We could just like stay
fine.
and hang. What I would like to do is more like forums like this on Twitch, where if people are interested in talking through difficult issues that our different industries are going through, hit me up. Love to talk to you. Art and Labor Podcast is here for you, baby. And with that, I'm just going to transition to the break screen and then transition to the movie in just a moment. So thank you, Sophia, Michael, and Mickey, so much. Yay!
Bye.
If
See you
everyone's
guys.
clapping in the chat.
Oh.
Yeah, everyone clap. Bye.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Okay, you can still hear me probably. I'm gonna end the call so I don't break up. Thanks again. Oh wait, I'm gonna.